We have been doing a lot of speaker reviews, and I received a lot of requests that we should now do an AV receiver review. So here I am with one of the most popular budget AV receivers. This is the Yamaha RX-V6A, also known as the TSR-700. I promise you this is the only video you would have to watch to find out everything about this very popular budget receiver. First of all, let me tell you what this receiver can do on a high level. So this receiver, it supports 7.2 channels. It can handle Dolby Atmos and DTS formats for audio, and it has up to 8K, and it also supports 4K at 120 FPS. So that is a lot that this receiver can handle. However, the power is 100 watts per channel. That is only for 2 channels. If you start adding more speakers to the mix, which is needed in a Dolby Atmos setup, the 100 watts per channel is no longer the case. The power is then split into the other channels as well. Now in my case, I have a center channel speaker, that is the SVS Ultra Center. It is a very big speaker, it can handle a lot of sound. And I have the 2 front speakers, I have 2 rear speakers and 2 high channels and 2 subwoofers. So that is a lot that this Yamaha receiver can handle. So I am not questioning the power capabilities of this Yamaha. It has enough power for a small to medium size home theater. I just want to mention one problem that this receiver has, and that is the eARC and eARC, it just gets cut off. So for that, let me explain what eARC and eARC is. eARC is audio return channel and eARC is enhanced audio return channel. What that means is, I'll try to explain it in simple terms. So the TV's audio is not the best, right? So when we connect this receiver to the TV using an HDMI cable, that enables enhanced audio return channel or audio return channel, which means the TV delegates the audio work to the receiver. So the TV is basically saying, hey, look, Mr. Receiver, you do a pretty good job, better job than me in handling audio, so why don't you take care of the audio? So the receiver then accepts that signal through the ARC or eARC, and then the receiver can play the surround sound, and that sounds much better than the TV speakers, right? Now the problem that I was mentioning about the HDMI not working all the time is sometimes, maybe 1 in 30 times or so, when you start the receiver and your TV, the TV never switches, or the receiver never switches the audio to the receiver. It still wants the TV to handle the volume. What I mean by that is, when we play around with the remote to increase or decrease the volume, it is the TV's volume that is going up and down because the receiver said, well, I don't want to handle the audio this time. So it becomes lazy, right? So the 2 options then are, you shut off the TV and the receiver, and then you restart it and it's fine. It just switches back. The punch that this little receiver, this budget receiver can provide is extraordinary. It has a lot of punch and clarity. And one thing which is very important in Dolby Atmos or a surround sound setup is the clarity in each channel. The sound is not muffled. So if somebody is knocking on the door in a scene from way behind, you can actually hear it on the rear speaker very clearly. So the audio is distributed and not muffled. I love that about this receiver. It supports 4K, and nowadays 4K content is the go. So 4K at 120 FPS is very well supported on this receiver. It can also support 8K at 60 FPS if you care about 8K, but for me 4K is plenty good, and it also supports very good quality video with HDR and HDCP 2.3. So those are formats that can give you some of the best clarity in terms of video. So we talked about audio, we talked about video. Let's talk about the design and the functionality and all the features. We will cover the cool app that this supports, which is the MusicCast app. But I just want to go over the front panel here, which I think is pretty beautiful and very futuristic design. I would say it does not look like just any other receiver. Look at that big knob in the front. You might think that that knob can do a lot of things and it is so fancy, but it is just a volume control. The only problem I have with that knob is, well, it is kind of tight, but when you rotate it, you don't get any kind of feedback. It just rotates freely. I wish there was some resistance in terms of maybe some click sound or something that tells you that you are going X amount. This is just like a free knob that keeps rotating and rotating. It kind of bounces back as you kind of rotate it. It wants to come back a little bit. You will get that feeling when you play with it, but I use the remote and the MusicCast app all the time, which brings us to the point that the MusicCast app can also control most of the things on this receiver, which is awesome. And in terms of design, I think it looks very cool, and it has that off-center display. I think that's very nice as well. And Yamaha receivers give you the volume in decibels, so I'm usually at -15 to -25 decibels, so that kind of tells you that this can play pretty loud. And remember, I told you it supports 2 subwoofers. That is pretty good as well, because sometimes I think, depending on your speaker setup, you might be able to get that 2 subwoofers in your room. That does make a huge impact. There is an upcoming video I'm going to make because this has Zone 2. I'm planning to hook up the Zone 2 all the way outside to an outdoor Yamaha speaker, which I got on a deal. So that video is coming up soon. I'm just waiting for the rain to stop so I can work outside and hook that speaker up. So if you haven't subscribed, that would be a very good reason. Unlike this Sony DH790 receiver, this actually supports banana plugs for all the speakers in the back panel. That is way easier than playing around with bare wires. It has 7 HDMI ports in the back. And now let's talk about the MusicCast app. First, let's power on the receiver. And now that the receiver is powered on, let's do the setup and get to TSR-700. Please power on your audio device. Yes, it is powered on. Menu connect. So it wants us to press that button right there on the receiver. So let me put my phone here, and it says searching for devices. And all I need to do is press and hold the menu connect. As you can see, it is making the beep, beep, beep noise. And you can see connect on the screen of the receiver there. And you can see the MusicCast logo flashing. Waiting to retrieve Wi-Fi list. This is where I'm going to hide my phone. While that's connecting, let me tell you a few things about the ports here. This one right here is a USB port. Using this, you will be able to upgrade your firmware. YPAO is where you plug in a microphone that is provided with the Yamaha receiver. That microphone can be plugged in and placed at a listening position, and it'll calibrate all the speakers. That auto calibration comes in very handy, and it'll set the levels, it'll set the distance of the speakers from the seating position. So volume, distance, everything is auto set up using the YPAO. And there's a zone in case you want to switch from one zone to the other. Like I said, this supports 2 zones. The only problem is Zone 2 only has 2 speakers, and if you switch to Zone 2, it'll turn off the height speakers in Zone 1. Basically, it is borrowing power from the height speakers of Zone 1 and then giving it away to the Zone 2 speakers. Pure Direct, I love Pure Direct because that is where music comes lively. This Yamaha receiver can play music very, very well. And then of course, there are these scenes. You can switch to different scenes, preset scenes, and that is very handy for different kinds of movies and things that you're watching. Looks like the connection is completed. On the screen, you can see connect completed. So on this screen, you can set up surround speakers. You can set up streaming service account such as Pandora, Spotify, and whatnot. And you can set up Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant. So from here on, I'll let you do all this by yourself because each of your scenario could be different. So here I can reduce the volume using the app. As you can see, the volume on the screen goes up or down with just a control on the app itself. I can power off the receiver using the app. And these are just some of the options here. And it can play music from this phone, or it can do Amazon Music. You can do it from a USB drive, Chromecast. So ton of options here that you can explore. Let's quickly talk about the price. MSRP is $599. I think at one point this was even $399. Don't quote me on this, but I might have seen it. But I got it for $449. At a price of $449, this is very decent. I think it is one of the best in that category. So $449, I think it's a good price for this. However, I'm not sure if this is worth it at $600. So that is something you might want to consider and look out for a deal. Very happy with the results, very happy with the audio. The only negative is the eARC dropping out and not participating in the audio, but that happens 1 in 30 times maybe, like I said. So I am willing to live with that. Let me know in the comment section if you have experiences with this receiver or if you think another receiver is worth the bet. I would love to hear your opinion and what you think about this receiver or any other receiver in the budget section. And if you have this receiver, I'm very interested to know what center channel speaker you're using and what subwoofer have you paired with it. I hope this video was helpful to you, and if it is, please give me a thumbs up, because otherwise YouTube for some reason will not like this video and it'll go down and down and down. So if this was helpful, that thumbs up would mean a lot in supporting me. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care.